Around the World in 80 Days was supposed to be impossible. A Jules Verne adaptation that would literally circle the globe, capturing footage on every continent, using technology that hadn't been perfected yet. Hollywood executives called it financial suicide. But in 1956, one showman proved them all wrong, and in the process, created a film that would change the way movies were made forever. These are 20 facts that reveal the madness, the genius, and the tragedy behind cinema's greatest adventure. Number 1. A real hot air balloon never appears. Here's something that'll shock Jules Verne fans. That iconic hot air balloon sequence everyone associates with Around the World in 80 Days? It's not in the original novel, not even close. When Jules Verne wrote his 1873 adventure, Phileas Fogg traveled by train, ship, and elephant, but never by balloon. So why is it the movie's most memorable image? Pure marketing genius. Producer Michael Todd needed to showcase his revolutionary new widescreen format, Todd AO. And what better way to fill that massive screen than sweeping aerial shots of a colorful balloon floating over exotic landscapes? The balloon became so iconic that most people today assume it was always part of Verne's story. Hollywood literally rewrote literary history. Number 2. The movie that nearly bankrupted its producer. Speaking of Michael Todd, let me tell you about the biggest bet in Hollywood history. Todd didn't just invest in this film, he bet his entire life on it. We're talking mortgaging his house, selling his cars, and yes, even putting up his wife Elizabeth Taylor's jewelry as collateral. Broadway showman turned film producer, Todd saw Around the World in 80 Days as his chance to prove he could revolutionize cinema. But if it flopped, total financial ruin. Just one man's obsession with creating something the world had never seen. Every day of production was a countdown to either triumph or bankruptcy. The pressure nearly broke him. But here's the twist. The gamble paid off beyond anyone's wildest dreams. The film became a massive box office success, earning over $42 million worldwide and recouping every penny Todd risked. Number 3. Costumes by the thousands. The wardrobe department for Around the World in 80 Days didn't just make costumes, they built an entire fashion industry. 74,685 costumes, plus 36,092 trinkets and accessories. That's allegedly more than any Hollywood production before or since. Think about the logistics. Period-accurate clothing for Victorian London, Japanese kimonos, Spanish matador outfits, Indian saris, Wild West gear, all handmade to 1950s quality standards. The costume department employed hundreds of seamstresses working around the clock. Some extras wore their costumes for mere seconds of screen time. It was excess on a scale that would make modern producers faint. And this was just the beginning of Todd's obsession with spectacle. Number 4. Cameos from 40 Hollywood legends. Before Marvel post-credit scenes, before celebrity cameos became a marketing gimmick, there was Around the World in 80 Days. Michael Todd invented the concept of star-studded cameos as we know it today. 40 Hollywood legends agreed to appear in brief roles. Frank Sinatra, Buster Keaton, Marlene Dietrich, Red Skelton, George Raft, Peter Lorre, and more. Most appeared for less than a minute. Some had no dialogue, but their presence created a treasure hunt for audiences. Spotting the stars became part of the fun. It was revolutionary. Critics called it a gimmick. Audiences called it genius. And Hollywood's been copying the formula ever since. Number 5. A true world tour. When this production said Around the World, they meant it literally. The crew traveled to 13 different countries and filmed at 112 exterior locations. Japan, Hong Kong, Thailand, India, Spain, England, France, Pakistan. This was 1956. Remember, no CGI, no green screens, no digital backgrounds. If you wanted the Taj Mahal, you went to India. If you needed a Spanish bull ring, you flew to Madrid. The production team logged approximately 4 million air passenger miles making this film. 4 million miles in an era when international air travel was still exotic and expensive. The logistical nightmare required military-level coordination, shipping equipment, arranging permits, managing local crews who spoke different languages. Meanwhile, something unexpected was happening with one of their animal stars. Number 6. The pregnant elephant. During the filming of the India sequences, the production used a real elephant to carry Shirley MacLaine's character, Princess Aouda. Everything went smoothly during the shoot. The elephant was professional, calm, cooperative. Then, almost immediately after filming wrapped, she went into labor. The crew had been filming with a pregnant elephant and never knew it. Imagine the chaos if she'd given birth mid-scene with MacLaine on her back. The insurance implications alone would have been catastrophic, but luck was on Todd's side. Just another near disaster narrowly avoided in a production full of them. Number 7. A Guinness World Record for extras. Michael Todd didn't do anything small, and the extras count proves it. The film employed more than 68,000 extras, a Guinness World Record at the time. Some scenes were so massive, they required actual military coordination to manage the crowds. Think about organizing 68,000 people in an era before walkie-talkies were standard, before modern crowd control technology. Assistant directors used bullhorns and hand signals. It was controlled chaos. The logistics of feeding everyone, costuming everyone, positioning everyone, and then actually filming them created nightmares that kept production managers awake at night. The closing credits. Number 8. The longest closing credits ever. The closing credits of Around the World in 80 Days lasted nearly 8 minutes, an eternity in 1956, when most films ended abruptly after the end. But Todd turned the credits into an animated spectacle, showcasing cartoon sketches of every celebrity cameo who appeared in the film. Audiences stayed in their seats, playing the game of Spot the Star. It was the first time closing credits became entertainment rather than obligation. Some theaters reported people buying tickets just to watch the closing sequence again. Today we call them credit cookies. In 1956, they called it the Todd Touch. Number 9. The upset Oscar win. Here's the thing about the 1957 Academy Awards. Around the World in 80 Days wasn't supposed to win Best Picture. Critics were divided on whether it was a masterpiece or a bloated spectacle. Serious contenders like Giant and The King and I seemed more likely, but audiences loved it. The film's scale, ambition, and sheer entertainment value won over Academy voters. When it claimed Best Picture, along with 4 other Oscars, Hollywood insiders were stunned. Michael Todd had gambled everything and won the ultimate prize, but his insistence on one particular casting choice had made it all possible. Number 10. David Niven was the only choice. Michael Todd made it crystal clear. If David Niven didn't play Phileas Fogg, there would be no movie, period. He'd cancel the entire production. This wasn't negotiable. Todd saw something in Niven that perfectly embodied the unflappable British gentleman, the dry wit, the impeccable timing, the aristocratic bearing that could only come from the real thing. Niven was British, had actually served in the military, and carried himself with the exact dignity and subtle humor the role demanded. Other studios would have demanded a bigger box office name, but Todd knew Niven was Phileas Fogg, and he was right. Niven's performance became the calm center around which the entire spectacle revolved. Number 11. Frank Sinatra turned down a role. Not every star jumped at the chance to appear in the film. Frank Sinatra was offered a cameo role probably would have taken 5 minutes to film. He turned it down flat. His reason? He didn't want to travel the world for free just to wave. Classic Sinatra arrogance or savvy business sense? Probably both. While 40 other stars happily appeared for scale wages and the prestige of being in Todd's epic, Old Blue Eyes wanted none of it. Interestingly, his refusal probably helped the film. It meant one less recognizable face pulling focus from the story. Still, imagine if he'd agreed. That's one alternate timeline we'll never see. Number 12. The camera system was revolutionary. Michael Todd didn't just produce this film, he invented the camera system that shot it. Todd AO was a revolutionary 70mm widescreen process that Todd himself developed specifically for epic storytelling. Before Todd AO, widescreen meant CinemaScope, which distorted the image and reduced quality. This camera system captured massive vistas with crystal clarity, pulling audiences into the frame like never before. The system used specially designed cameras, custom lenses, and required theaters to install new projection equipment. It was a massive financial risk. What if theaters refused to upgrade? But the format was so stunning that it changed how Hollywood shot epics forever. Films like The Sound of Music and Oklahoma followed in Todd AO's footsteps. One technical innovation changed cinema history. Number 13. Real bullfighting scenes were used. When the story takes Fogg to Spain, we witness an authentic bullfighting sequence. This wasn't Hollywood magic. These were real Spanish matadors performing before a real crowd of 25,000 people. No actors in matador costumes, no staged choreography, no safety nets. Michael Todd wanted authenticity, and he got it. The cameras captured actual bullfighting at a level of danger and spectacle that modern insurance companies would never allow. Today, this footage serves as a historical document of a controversial tradition, shot with the production values of a major Hollywood epic. Animal rights concerns aside, it's an undeniably powerful sequence that modern filmmakers simply couldn't recreate. Number 14. Filming the train scene was dangerous. Remember that thrilling sequence where characters leap between moving train cars? That was real. The actors stood inches from an actual moving train. No CGI, no stunt doubles for the wide shots. David Niven later admitted it was one of the most terrifying moments of his career. In an era before modern safety regulations, actors regularly risked their lives for authenticity. One slip, one moment of bad timing, and the newspapers would have reported a tragedy instead of a triumph. Niven, always the professional, completed the scene perfectly. But he never forgot how close he came to disaster. And speaking of close calls, the original cut was even more dangerous to the film's success. Number 15. The 5-hour rough cut. Before Michael Todd slashed it down to its theatrical length, the rough cut of Around the World in 80 Days reportedly ran over 5 hours. 5 hours! That's longer than Lawrence of Arabia. Longer than Gone with the Wind. Imagine sitting through that in a single viewing. Todd spent months in the editing room agonizing over every cut, trimming scenes he'd spent fortunes filming. Entire sequences filmed in exotic locations ended up on the cutting room floor. Some cameos got reduced to blink and you miss it appearances. The editing process was almost as painful as the production itself. But Todd knew that discipline. Knowing what to cut separated legendary films from self-indulgent disasters. He made the hard choices, and just when everything seemed perfect, tragedy struck. Number 16. Michael Todd's tragic death. Here's where the story turns heartbreaking. Just 1 year after Around the World in 80 Days won Best Picture, Michael Todd died in a plane crash, March 1958. He was only 48 years old. The private plane, nicknamed the Lucky Liz after Elizabeth Taylor, went down in New Mexico during a storm. Elizabeth was supposed to be on that flight but stayed home with a cold. 4 people died, including Todd. The man who'd risked everything, who'd revolutionized cinema, who'd proven everyone wrong, gone in an instant. Hollywood was stunned. The tragedy overshadowed everything he'd accomplished, turning his greatest triumph into a memorial, but his innovations lived on. Number 17. The global premiere strategy. Michael Todd pioneered another innovation, the simultaneous global premiere. He organized the film to open in 70 cities at once, unheard of in 1956. Most major releases opened in New York and Los Angeles, then slowly rolled out over months. Todd wanted the world to experience his world tour together. It was a logistical and marketing miracle, requiring coordination across time zones, languages, and distribution networks that barely existed. The strategy worked. Audiences everywhere felt like they were part of something special, something global. They were watching a movie about traveling the world while participating in a worldwide event. Meta before meta was a thing. Number 18. Jules Verne's vindication. When Jules Verne published Around the World in 80 Days in 1872, critics mocked him. They called it childish fantasy, impossible nonsense, scientific illiteracy dressed up as adventure. The idea that someone could circumnavigate the globe in 80 days seemed absurd to Victorian critics. But Verne was a visionary. By 1956, air travel had made his fantasy not just possible, but routine. Michael Todd's film became vindication for Verne's imagination, proof that dreamers see the future more clearly than critics. The author died in 1905, never knowing his story would become one of cinema's greatest epics. Sometimes the last laugh comes decades late. Number 19. Life imitating art. David Niven's casting was perfect for another reason. He was actually obsessed with punctuality, just like Phileas Fogg. Throughout the entire production, despite filming across 13 countries with constantly changing schedules, Niven never arrived late, not once. Co-stars marveled at his precision. It wasn't method acting, it was his personality. He'd check his watch constantly, plan routes in advance, build in buffer time for unexpected delays. While everyone else struggled with the chaos of international production, Niven glided through with British precision. It's as if Michael Todd found the real Phileas Fogg and put him on camera. Number 20. The poster that became iconic. Finally, let's talk about the film's poster. Artist Reynold Brown created a hand-painted masterpiece that became as legendary as the movie itself, a vivid, colorful illustration showing the balloon floating above a montage of global landmarks. The poster won awards, inspired travel advertisements for decades, and set the standard for epic film marketing. In an era before Photoshop, before digital design, Brown's artistry captured the film's scope and spirit in a single image. Original prints now sell for thousands of dollars. It proved that movie marketing could be art in its own right. The poster promised adventure, spectacle, and wonder, and the film delivered. Around the World in 80 Days wasn't just a movie, it was a revolution wrapped in entertainment. Michael Todd bet everything and changed Hollywood forever. If these facts amazed you, hit that like button and subscribe for more forgotten stories from cinema's golden age. There's always more to uncover.